Hi everyone, Kelt here. Do you all remember this? Back in 2016, Harry issued a statement to protect his then American girlfriend, and he was warning then that he fears for her safety. A statement by the Communications Secretary to Prince Harry said that his girlfriend Meghan Markle has been subject to a wave of abuse and harassment. It goes on to talk about the racial undertones of comment pieces by the newspapers. Also talks about the outright sexism and racism of social media trolls and web article comments. It goes on about her nightly legal battles to keep defamatory stories out of papers and her mother having to struggle past photographers in order to get to her front door. And then, most importantly, it talks about the attempts of reporters and photographers to gain a legal entry to her home and the calls to police that followed. The Toronto Sun said, "Cops confirm they've been called to the home of Harry's new girlfriend." It goes on to say that they had been called to Meghan's home. A constable, Victor Kwong, said, "We were called at one point this month for the actions of some media." And a photo, it goes on to say, a photo on the London Daily Mail website clearly shows a Toronto police cruiser sitting outside Markle's home. "We will not be discussing anything further. Sorry," he says. Another article in the Toronto Sun says Prince Harry's alleged girlfriend Meghan Markle seeks advice from Toronto cops. So she's actively seeking their advice. It talks about how she used to be able to walk her dogs at her leisure or head out of the door to a restaurant without people batting an eye. And then it goes on to say that after foreign paparazzi and local reporters staked out her Seaton Village digs this week, she called Toronto cops. It goes on to say that Toronto police officers who don't provide private security for VIPs watched her enter the vehicle and media watched it too. She wasn't being hounded by the press. They've proved it. They hung around, they waited, they saw nothing. They also allegedly saw no signs of any break-ins by the paparazzi or any disturbance whatsoever, according to what she had complained about. It goes on, one photographer said police approached media Thursday after Markle complained to them. She thought photographers were trying to break into her laneway garage. There was also some talk that Buckingham Palace had tried to convey a message to British reporters to back off, but the palace wouldn't confirm that. No comment from the royal household, Senior Communications Officer David Pogson said in an emailed statement from London on Friday. So there was nothing going on. Nothing was happening there. She made this up. And then Prince Harry puts out a statement which is very unlike him and which has only been done once before by Prince William, when paparazzis were using telephoto lenses to capture photographs of Catherine sunbathing topless while on holiday, and actually while thinking that she was secure to do this. This was done without her permission, and quite rightly Prince William did take this further and issued a statement. Meghan's was proved to be false. These things weren't happening. There was no break-in. There was no paparazzi hounding her. There are no photos of her with any paparazzi hounding her. So Harry puts out this statement. 3 years on, they're still being mentioned. She's still using that now and still making things up about the paparazzi and the media hounding her. I think they're running in the opposite direction. She contacts them to come and take the photos. I've been given permission to share this information from somebody in the know, and it goes as follows. Word is Meghan Markle was a nightmare for them. She called them constantly about people stalking her, needing the police to come out, etc. The office staff started drawing straws for who would have to deal with Meghan because she called so often and was rude on the phone. The police multiple times had to go investigate lurkers or alleged lurkers at her house. Nothing was ever found by the Toronto Police Department. I read once that she told her friend that they can't go to lunch because of paparazzi. This was like her first season as an actress. So it seems nothing's changed. It seems as if she's still using the stories of the paparazzi being hounded, pestering her. She's still using it now, saying that they were hounding her in Vancouver Island. And she's still playing the race card and still playing the Diana card. They both are putting out statements about Diana still. So even way back then, at the very beginning, before she was even engaged, she was seemingly playing the same games. So let me have your thoughts on this, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Also, if you haven't already, come on over to my Celt Creates channel, where I have a variety of things: ASMR, music, readings, art demos. Please subscribe, ding my bell for more alerts when I post new videos, like if you liked it, and share. Thanks. Hi everyone, Celt here, bringing you my thoughts on the British royal family, and today I'll be talking mostly about Harry and the future big reveal about the children. I've heard that Prince Harry has confided in a friend the truth about the children, and he will be the one, or he wants to be the one, who will come clean about it, and it's looking likely that it will be a few months. Apparently he's desperate to come clean and naively thinks that it will put him in a good light and that he will be in a much better position than Meghan. For some reason he thinks he'll be forgiven more easily. He has broached the subject with Meghan, who has totally lost it when he mentioned it, so it's a very sensitive subject between them. She seems to think she can make more money out of the children, although it's surprising that she hasn't merged them, as we said she would. She could have had them modelling clothes, she could have had photographs everywhere and made a lot of money, but no, and most of us know why. It's said that the palace will soon give the press the go-ahead, but Harry wants to get in there first. The palace have been told about Harry's plans and are discussing whether to let him go ahead with this or give the go-ahead to the press sooner, so that the information comes from them first. Apparently all the information is there. The press have all the proof they need and have statements from medical professionals and witnesses. They have had all they need for some time now, and they've just been waiting for the go-ahead from the palace. A few of us YouTubers have been researching and putting out stuff from 4 years ago. Many of us doubted the sincerity of Meghan at the engagement interview and took an interest in what would transpire next. It was the bizarre pregnancy and then the bizarre photos, the videos, interviews after the alleged birth of Archie, which got many of us digging deep. I have over 500 videos and not all of them show the information which is in the actual video title. It doesn't always make it clear. So my suggestion is to go back and watch them from maybe after the first 4 or 5 videos, I think, start watching them. I'd sort of go back over old stuff. So there are videos maybe from a year or 2 years ago where I go back over some of the old stuff. But again, it's a case of going through them all. I know that's a lot of videos, but I haven't had the time myself to go through them. But I do want to try and go through them and find the videos with the real solid information in them. Maybe make a new video with all the old information. Harry is known to read everything on the internet and about them. He knows that the palace are planning to give the go-ahead to the press, and he really wants to get in there first. But he hasn't really worked out his story yet, apparently, and it could cause more problems for him than he already has, if that's possible. He knows that if he goes ahead and does this off his own bat, that will be a massive trigger for Meghan's wrath and probably the end of their public pretense of a marriage. So he would possibly be better letting the palace inform the press, and then he can give his input after. I think the palace underestimate the public. Not much surprises us nowadays, and I think they have lost the public's respect over several things and will continue to do so the longer they hold on to this. I would love to go through all my own videos and compile all the information, Meghan's pregnancy and births, into one video, but at the moment I don't have the time for this. I do, however, have some of my videos divided into playlists, and there is a playlist which is entitled Meghan's Pregnancies and Births, etc. Might be a good place to start. So this is just a short video, but I just had to update you all with this latest information, and I really wonder what will happen next, how soon this information is going to come out, because I was told it would be a few months, which takes us to, I suppose, September, maybe October, but it'll be interesting to see if this brings it forward, if it comes out sooner, and if Harry will actually speak out. So let me have your thoughts and ask me your questions, and I'll do my best to answer them in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye. Hi everyone. I'm just going to try and talk you through this new video about Meghan Markle and the rumours about her having an existing child, possibly a daughter. Fairy tale wedding, or was it? Was the bride hiding a big secret? Do we know? Rumour 1. Meghan already had a child some years previously. We all have pasts, but to cover up something as big as having a daughter and pretending that your recent birth is your first is pretty damaging to the first child, who would read about this on the internet. And rumour 2. Meghan was married before Trevor to lawyer Joe Giuliani. Marriage was annulled 2 years later. There he is. And it's believed that he went to Northwestern University with Meghan. And rumour 3, Meghan had several pregnancies, it is said. And rumour 4, the birth left Meghan sterile and unable to have any more children. She's said to have told Trevor Engelson that she was sterile when they married. Definitely looks pregnant in that picture. Who knows? I'm not sure who that guy is that she's with there. I think it's an earlier boyfriend. Rumour 5, Samantha's daughter Noelle is really Meghan's daughter with Joe. That's quite a serious rumour. And Meghan and Joe allegedly produced Noelle, Samantha's beautiful daughter. Next is a picture sent to me, which is Joe and Noel, and also Meghan and Noel's pictures layered in stages to show the similarities. And Noel and Joe are a really close match for proportions, for their facial features. Take a look and see what you think. More so than Meghan and Noel, actually. Again, this was sent to me. I was surprised when I saw it. It's pretty, I don't know, it does look as if he could be her father, but all this is speculation and rumours. There are pictures of Meghan on the web where she looks pregnant at different times after her graduation. It could just be her clothing or weight. What do you think? And now the facts.
Meghan Markle today.
What we do know. This lady speaking out about Meghan.
Can you tell me about your feelings on that? An English woman, sorry, an English prince, an American actress, the most read about, most focused on baby.
Like it's a big deal.
That's right.
He's trying to build it up. Listen, I brought Meghan Markle, whatever her name is, to my my Deal or No Deal celebrity golf tournament. She was one of my Deal or No Deal girls that were. She was a caddy for all of my celebrities. I had Joe Montana. I had anybody that's here was at my tournament in 2008. She was one of the Deal or No Deal girls that were caddies. That I pawned them off as caddies to the highest bidders. And they were great. She was fantastic. She was brilliant. She was so loved. And, you know, good for her. You know, I'm laughing because I'm like, good for her. I mean, she met the prince, you know, and she made a great life for herself. Good for her.
I've had the fairy tale now with the baby.
She's got the fairy tale now with the baby. But good for her. I mean, Jesus. She's, she's everything you're not supposed to be. You know, isn't she, you know, multi-ethnic, and she's been married, she already has a kid from someone, or divorced. I mean, everything you're not supposed to be in a Catholic family or whatever, and she's kicking the Good for her. I'm happy for her. Good for her. I didn't know that she had the baby today, but, you know, what a great day to have.
And another fact, Noel looks like Meghan, understandably, because she's her niece, but she obviously also looks like a mother, Samantha. And her father, Samantha's ex, Scott Rasmussen. Fact, Meghan would have had to have been at university when she got pregnant if Noel, who we believe is 20, was her child, so probably too young, unless Meghan is really 41, which incidentally is the age of all her playmates from her school year. And there are many who think that Meghan is at least 5 years older than she claims. And looking at that photo, I think she definitely does. Fact, it has been known in families for an older sister or mother to raise the child of a much younger sister or daughter and call it their own to avoid scandal. Who knows if it happened in this case? It's possible. I doubt it, but who knows? Fact, Samantha has not even implied that this is the case, and given that she's estranged from her daughter, she would surely have made this information known, as she is not held back in airing her views about Meghan. So, yeah. And Samantha, none of the Markle family have said anything about Meghan having an existing child, and I think they would have done by now. They've said basically everything else. And this speaks for itself, and Prince Harry is someone who knows the damage of questionable parentage when people start questioning who someone's parent is, until he had a DNA test to prove that Charles is his father, so he would know what this would be like for if there was an existing child. So cheers and thank you for watching. Hi guys, I've just come on here because I've just read something that's really surprised me. It's been taken out of the papers, or a couple of them. Let me read it to you a minute. It's still showing up in the world news online. It's already been taken down from a couple of other publications. So it's probably fake news, but this is still there now. As I'm reading it, this article is still there in the world news. Meghan Markle's son Archie was delivered by the Countess of Bradford, the Portland's poshest consultant. She was once dubbed too posh to pull. She's a top consultant obstetrician and gynecologist specialising in maternity. Well, what happened to the article that she put to, I think it was the Sun, saying that she had a home birth? And then she puts an article out with the Daily Mail and others saying that she gave birth in hospital. And now we've even got the name of the person who supposedly delivered the baby, and yet nobody signed it off. So it seems she's put this out, and some of the papers are checking it out, realising that it's fake, and then closing down the page. This one is still here. And then another article. Let's have a look. Then we've got, and then there are people saying that the Sun newspaper were very embarrassed by Meghan giving them a story about a home birth, and then the Daily Mail she gives the Daily Mail the official story about a birth at Portland Hospital, and now giving out a name of a gynecologist. And apparently the Sun literally had to stop the presses and try to call back print newspapers that had already been shipped. I mean, that's really embarrassing for a newspaper. And the Sun does have a lot of information about Meghan, and they were the ones that put out the article about the guy that ghosted her. An English guy that she wanted to date before she met Harry. I'm not sure of his name. Matt Cardle. That's right. And it's just getting really interesting. So hope you enjoy this, and I'll speak to you soon. I'm still working on other stuff, but I just had to get this out there. Okay. Bye. Hi everyone, Kelt here, bringing you my thoughts on the British royal family, and today I'll be answering some more questions, so it'll be another Q&A on my last two videos. The first question: Kelt, love your channel and have been with you since you started. My question is, can you explain what a super injunction is and what it does? Who puts it in place? We Americans don't have that over here, thank you. Well, a regular injunction is powerful enough in its own right, but a super injunction is a much more powerful version of a normal order, and it provides an extra layer of protection for those at risk of defamation. Under English law, a super injunction prevents the publishing of any details from an ongoing legal case, and this includes the actual existence of the case itself. So, for example, if someone was the subject of damaging allegations, their lawyers could appeal to the High Court to grant the protection on the client's behalf in order to safeguard their privacy until the case has been heard and a judge has decided whether the information that they say is private should in fact be made public. I hope that helps. Another question, or two questions. are, does anyone know if any nannies are employed by the Montecito pair? And in brackets, might be a clue as to whether there are children there. Well, in answer to that question, I believe that there are no nannies there. From what I've heard, there are no nannies, and I think that some people in the area flew drones over their place to discover that there was no evidence of any children living there, whether children-related stuff in trash cans or toys outside, and they found no evidence at all. And also, we've only heard talk of Doria, Meghan's mother, being there, and in their photos and video clips, it's just been Doria there, no sign of anyone else. And as a lot of people believe those children are borrowed, that they don't have them there all the time, they would have no need for a nanny. Part 2 of the question is, as the Lilibet child is recorded as having two parents who are not the Montecito pair, could Archie's documentation be checked to see if he too has differently named parents? If so, it would seem that adoption rather than surrogacy was planned. From what I remember regarding Archie's birth certificate, I believe that Harry and Meghan's names were on it, but then you have to ask if the actual certificate was a genuine one. I'm sorry I don't have any more information than that on that, and it is interesting and maybe worth looking into a little more. Another question, and this person says, this is confusing. If the baby was carried by a surrogate, which she supposedly kept, and it was with Harry's sperm, is the child royal? Well, I've looked into this, and apparently a royal bastard was a common term, which is now mostly dropped from common usage, for the child of a reigning monarch who was considered to have been born outside of marriage, either because the monarch had an extramarital affair or because the legitimacy of the monarch's marriage had been called into question. And then it lists notable, what it refers to as notable royal bastards, which include Robert, Earl of Gloucester, son of King Henry I of England, Henry Fitzroy, son of King Henry VIII of England, and the Duke of Monmouth, son of Charles II. Children born out of wedlock do not have a claim to the throne, even with the subsequent marriage of the parents. To conceive a child via surrogate with, for example, Harry's sperm and a surrogate's egg would mean the child is an illegitimate royal. If the child had Meghan's egg and someone else's sperm, it would not be royal at all. If the child had both Meghan's egg and Harry's sperm, but was carried by a surrogate and given birth to by a surrogate, it would be an illegitimate royal. An illegitimate royal cannot inherit the throne, i.e., cannot become king or queen. If, however, unlikely, Harry and Meghan conceived a child before they were married, that child would be an illegitimate royal and not a legitimate heir to the throne. The only way that Harry and Meghan could have a legitimate heir to the throne would be if it was conceived within marriage and Meghan physically carried it and gave birth to it. However, that would only be legitimate if their marriage is legitimate, which has become a debate in itself. I hope this helps. Another question. I heard this morning that Lily was a twin and that the twin Nutmeg and Harry were supposed to get didn't make it and passed. Well, yes, I heard that rumour as well. And I've actually heard it from more than one source, and quite valid sources as well. So I think there could be some truth in this, but obviously there's no evidence. It does make a lot of sense when you think about the timing of everything. And the next question is, if the pictures we see of Archie are truly Archie, there is no resemblance to Harry at all. He looks like the Nutmeg and Marcus Anderson. And I remember one YouTuber finding an announcement from Marcus Anderson claiming he was a new father around the time of Archie's birth. Yes, absolutely, I do remember that myself. There was something, I don't know if it was a tweet on Twitter from Marcus or if it was on Facebook or wherever it was. I do remember him mentioning that he was a new father, and it was at that time. So I'm wondering whether it was to do with maybe a pet dog he had or something like that, and he was just trying to be funny. But it did do the rounds, and I've actually lost that. I cannot find that statement anywhere. So if anybody knows where it is, it would be great to send it to me at the email address in my description. Next question is, you don't go hopping into a birthing tub after an epidural as you cannot move your lower body. The epidural is administered with you lying on your side on the table, and you stay there, and the nurses lift your legs into position for birth. You don't get up and hop around anywhere. No eating in case requirement for an emergency cesarean. Absolutely. I've had one, and I know people who have had them, and there is no way you could hop anywhere. You have a real hard job feeling your legs. You would not be able to walk to the bathroom. You would have to use a bedpan, and you definitely would not be eating. So all that was blatant lies. And next question is, how can the purported child be named on a birth certificate as Mountbatten Windsor if the child's birth parents weren't Mountbatten Windsors and no adoption took place? Don't get me wrong, I don't believe Lilibet exists, but this detail makes no sense to me. Well, I think it just proves one thing. I agree with you. There would not be the name Mountbatten Windsor on the child's birth certificate. So I think it just proves one thing, and it proves that the certificate itself was forged or fake. And the next question, the royal family dropped a big hint yesterday when there were no birthday wishes for Lilibet. And just to correct misconceptions about royal prerogative and custody, Daniel Shen Smith, KC, black belt barrister, has released a video on this subject. And I have watched it. Some of you guys recommended him. I've watched him, and he's very, very good and worth watching. And he says that in 1717, George I released a statement about upbringing and responsibility for children in the LOS after yet another fallout with his son, future George II. However, this was never put on the statute books as a law. Therefore, no British monarch has any custodial rights over any member of the royal family. So yes, I can understand that there is no law saying this, but my point was that even a royal prerogative could give King Charles a little bit of extra leverage, if you like, even if he doesn't use it. I think the very fact that he can influence laws is another thing, but nowadays that doesn't happen. The fact that that was never put on the statute books as a law says a lot. So it was almost an unspoken thing. And I think the fact that the British public have sort of grown used to the idea that the royal family have the ultimate say in the heirs to the throne, into any children. It's good to note that it is not an actual law. Well, the next comment from someone is, I found Lilibet in the line of succession and she is 7th, with Harry at 5th and Archie at 6th. This was June the 4th, 2023. I don't understand why the children are there and hope the truth will emerge eventually. Well, thank you for that. I've been reminded that Harry is 5th now, not 6th. Obviously, when the Queen passed away, Harry became 5th rather than 6th. Yes, I don't understand why the children are there either, so as many of us do. So yes, let's hope the truth will emerge. Next question. Charles has no power over the kids, even if they're British, as there is no actual law. Yes, we've just mentioned that. There's only been an historical event which doesn't serve as a precedent. I'm sure that there is no Lily and Archie is borrowed. Yes, I think you are probably right about Lily and Archie. Next question. Kelt, what about the rumours on the net that she allegedly had a hysterectomy at 29? Can you look into this? Trevor, her second husband, as her first marriage was annulled, also said in a video that she could not have any children as they had tried for years. The hospital where the supposed Archie was born also said there was no record of her giving birth there. Kelt, can you also look into the rumours that allegedly Harry is sterile? Why is the British press so silent and not looking into these lies? I'll answer the first bit. I do remember Trevor having said, or a statement where he supposedly said that she could not have any children as they tried for years. I don't know if this was a video of him actually speaking. I think it's more likely that it was a comment that was made allegedly by him and put into someone's YouTube video. If somebody knows where it is, please let me know. And I think it's probably true. I don't see him saying anything like that unless it's true, but I don't believe that I can look into this because it's all to do with medical records, which are private. I think we have to rely on her family to speak out about this when the time is right. I'm surprised they haven't as yet, or maybe even Trevor coming out with it again on record. The next part of the question is the hospital where the supposed Archie was born also said that there was no record of her giving birth there. I do remember that as well. There was no record of her giving birth there, and people who were there never saw or heard any mention of her having been there. I know they would keep quiet if somebody from the royal family was there, but even the staff said there was no mention of Meghan being there. And then this person says, Kelt, can you also look into the rumours that allegedly Harry is sterile? Well, yes, I mentioned this in a previous video, and while his medical records are private, it was said that he had an operation for undescended testicles, which can leave a man sterile. And I think it's just an assumption because I have looked into this, and they most likely have a low sperm count, but it doesn't actually mean that they most definitely cannot have children. In some cases they do. It might just take a bit longer. I don't know if there are any medical people here that can inform us more about this, but that's what I've found. It's not impossible, but it's more difficult. And then the next part of the question is, why is the British press so silent and not looking into these lies? I think that the press were very silent when Meghan was rebelling. And if you remember, way back, the press was silent about a lot of things, and then they suddenly stopped being silent and they started voicing their thoughts on Meghan. And also the same with Harry. The press was silent about Harry and Meghan. And then once it's been doing the rounds on the internet long enough, on YouTube and Twitter, it's almost like the press follows suit and eventually comes out with it. I think that the press will look into this once they have enough proof, and I'm sure that they are all vying for the scoop on this. The next one is a statement. I'm a new subscriber and I'm so impressed you not only read but commented on these very important questions. Thank you. Well, thank you for your kind comment, and I do my best. The next comment is, watch Black Belt Barrister. He did a video on this, and legally King Charles has no jurisdiction over these children if they exist. I'm sure it was surrogates used. Well, yes, I did watch him, and he was really good, as I said. The next comment is, thanks, Kelt. Even the name Archie was stolen from Prince George, as Archie was Prince George's secret name. Yes, I also mentioned about that in a video I did years ago, which was quite shocking that Meghan chose the name Archie, knowing that Prince George's name that he was thrilled to use was Archie. He was known as Archie, and it was his security name. I think that could have put him at risk. I don't know if they changed their security names or how frequently they would do it, but that was his. Another comment is, just ask Diana what concerned her during the divorce proceedings. She was concerned about the Queen taking her away from her boys. Charles can do it as well. I think if they want to do something, they'll do it. Next comment is, how do you get to the royal website? And I'll put a link in the description. I think it's simply royal.uk. I think if you put that into your search engine, you'll find it. Another question here. If there is an Archie and a surrogate was used and Meghan could not have children, in brackets no ovaries, wouldn't he belong to the royal family in any case? And my answer is, in theory, yes. Legally, no. I would say that the royal family would always want to have a certain amount of control over any child born of the royals who are in succession to the throne. Any child of Harry's, regardless of who the mother is, would be of concern to the royals. Even though they would be illegitimate royals, they would still have royal blood. And it is their bloodline which is important to them, more than anything, more than a lot of people realise. Whether they would actually try and enforce anything is another matter. And another question here, if the palace knows she photoshopped that photo, and I'm thinking it's the one where the Queen and Prince Philip were photoshopped in, then why haven't they denied it? My answer is because the royal family have always had the motto of don't explain, never complain. While it works well in most circumstances, it doesn't really work when there are such serious things which need addressing. However, I would think that if they were to deny that photo, they would have to say why, give proof, and then it would open a whole can of worms, and it would be never ending. I think that even when the whole truth comes out in the media, and it will, they will still keep quiet, or they will make a safe and generalised and slightly guarded comment. Someone else asks, why can't they just tell the public about the surrogate? Then King Charles can change the law again, like King George did back in the early 1900s. That would update the monarchy. They shouldn't be in the succession until they are confirmed. And my answer is a very good idea. But right now, King Charles, I believe, is in no position to change the law. And another question, referring to Meghan, how did her dog break both its legs? Wouldn't surprise me if MM did it. Anyone know what happened to that poor dog? And my answer is, I understand that it was an accident involving a reversing car and that the dog recovered and the vet was invited to their wedding. So he must have done a good job putting the dog right. So that's all I've got time to answer now, and keep them coming. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Much love. Bye. Hi everyone, Kelt here, bringing you my thoughts on the British royal family, and today I'll be talking about the birth certificates of the Sussex children, and mostly Archie, and the latest news around that. This is number 13 in my new series, which looks into the lies surrounding the Sussexes. There has been much talk recently about the truth of the children coming out and the birth certificates being looked into. Well, the start of this could be happening. For those that know, this is just a show, and this is a necessary prelude to the whole truth coming out. It's coming out slowly, and it's drawing the attention of more people. More will be ready for when the shocking truth is laid bare. We know that Harry and Meghan were supposed to be checking out schools in Montecito, and it came hot on the heels of Catherine enrolling George
Prince George at Eton. It was almost inevitable that Meghan would be putting out stories about she and Harry checking out the top-notch schools for Archie. However, there is a little problem now with Archie attending school in Montecito. Schools are very particular about having authentic details on the children, which is understandable. They need a valid birth certificate to confirm identity and also a medical report, which does make total sense with enrolling your child into an expensive private school. They need to know that the child is who he's supposed to be and that the parents are also, and that he has no concerning medical conditions and that they are aware of, and confirmation of where he lives. I've been sent information that they are having problems because the school has refused to accept Archie's birth certificate. Other schools were reluctant and refused them, but the school that they are trying to get him in now, which is basically the only one left, has drawn attention to the birth certificate of Archie. Apparently, it does not look authentic to them. They do not allow photocopies. Also, there has been the absence of Meghan's name from the certificate. Instead of Meghan Rachel, it has Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex. Meghan's name was removed some time back, and it was believed that, because of a surrogate allegedly being used to give birth to Archie, that by putting a title instead of the name, Meghan could get around the fact that she is not the biological mother, because it is illegal to have your name on a birth certificate in the UK if you are not the actual parent. It was also argued back then that whoever the mother is would be his partner in birth, so to speak, so she could come under the title of Duchess of Sussex. I know that's absolutely bizarre thinking, but another sign of Meghan scrambling to make something look right, but instead she makes a complete pig's ear of it. I do have videos of all of this confusion about the birth certificates back in 2019, I think, on this channel. There were also other YouTubers that covered this back then. Archie was born on May the 6th, 2019, and his birth was registered 11 days later before an amendment was made on June the 5th. Prince Harry did not sign it, even though they said he did. It's not showing on it. All we saw was a copy, and the lack of signatures was reminiscent of the birth announcement outside Buckingham Palace on the easel, whereby there were 0 signatures from doctors, which was and is totally unheard of. Some have suggested that by just having the title without Meghan's name, then Harry could divorce and marry the real mother, who could just assume the title and slip her name in there, as if the real mother could just assume the title of the Duchess of Sussex to put everything right. It is absolutely laughable. I will always give others' opinions and thoughts on this, even if I don't agree with them. And that theory I don't agree with, because it doesn't really make much sense to me. It was also said that Meghan believed that she would be legally protected by not using her real name, but just her title, in case the truth came out about the mother of the child. I think that's more likely. Now, this school incident is the start of this coming out. I said it wouldn't be long, and this is the start. The other schools rejected them for the same reasons, and now it seems likely that this school has drawn attention to it, and by bringing it out into the public eye, so that it will be much more likely to be looked into, and the whole release of the information that the press have been holding on to will likely come out now. When this happens, it will be like a flood, because every newspaper will want to be the one to break the news, and it will then flood the headlines. Then the children's titles of Prince and Princess would have to be removed from them, actually, and more importantly, the removal of them from the royal website as being in the line of succession. This is the only reason I'm still looking into this and talking about it, because I actually don't hate Meghan Markle, but I do hate manipulation, lies and gaslighting on such a massive scale. So Archie has 2 versions of his birth certificate, with one saying Rachel Meghan Duchess of Sussex and a second one saying Duchess of Sussex, The second one is not a legal document, as her legal names are not shown. Lily appears also to have a birth certificate that's also said to be not legal, and there is no birth recorded for her for that date or name in Santa Barbara. Now, the thing to do with Archie's birth certificate is that when you change a birth certificate, it's okay to change it, but you have to be changing it to what is accurate. It has to be changed. It can be changed if there was previously a mistake with the first one and you're altering it to make it right. You cannot change it and make it something that is not accurate. So by Meghan removing her names, is it saying that she's not the mother? It was perfectly legal and fine for her to have her name in that first birth certificate, but only if she was the mother. So why remove it? Fair enough if you want to add something like HRH or Princess. She didn't add anything. She had her title, HRH, the Duchess of Sussex, but she removed her name. So that says a lot to me. Let me have a look and I'll show you the details on the government website about this. I know all of this has been covered before, and I've also made a video about this, I don't know, several years ago, but I don't know how much information I included. So I'm going through this again now. And the government website talks about the corrections which can be made, and I'll include the photograph here, the screenshot of the website. What corrections can be made? It reads, and I quote, "You can apply for a birth registration correction when the information is wrong. For example, if a mistake was made when recording a parent's occupation, you cannot apply for a correction to show new information if circumstances change after you've registered your child's birth. For example, if you change your name after getting married again. However, you can apply to re-register the birth if the natural parents get married at a later date." So the questions from the general public were, why was Meghan altering it, or why were the palace altering it to remove her names? They would have known that it was a legal document and could not be changed unless it was changed to what was true. I don't believe that Meghan could have removed her names just to be like Princess Diana because she used HRH. And also, it was said that she did it to be one up on Catherine because she used her name. William and Catherine's names were used before their titles. And then it was said, no, that wasn't the reason, because the palace were the ones that did this, made sure it was done. So I think we can assume that it was done because she's not the legal mother. I think it all points to that, in my opinion, which might be wrong. Another interesting fact about the birth certificate is that it wasn't signed by one of the most senior employees at Westminster Register Office. It was handled, as usual, by whoever was available on duty, which in that case was a deputy registrar called Deksha Mevada. So that's another interesting point. Why didn't Harry sign it? That's another question. So looking back again to 2019, the birth included Meghan already being home from the hospital. His first birth certificate was issued on May the 17th, 2019, with an illegible signature of a deputy. And the word is handwritten, deputy registrar. This was above the text, which certified that the document was a true copy. So, on June the 5th, 2019, the Mirror newspaper said that a revised birth certificate was issued, which changed the mother's name from Rachel Meghan to Duchess of Sussex, which, as we know, is a title, not a name. and there is a difference legally. Also remember that the names of his godparents were sealed, and we didn't actually get to see his face at that time. Here are the various birth certificates of Prince William and then the one of Prince George, to show you what sort of the way they use the titles and their name in comparison to the one that Meghan had done for Archie. It's actually an amendment, so I'll put the old original birth certificate here and then the amendment beside it, which is official. This has reminded me of the time when Archie was supposed to be suing the paparazzi. I don't know if you remember that. And I found that a very strange thing anyway, but it was based on US law. And what it was Meghan chose to sign as a litigation friend. And the times when a parent actually chooses to sign as a litigation friend instead of parent or guardian is when, well, two reasons. When the other parent does not agree, or when they're not actually the legal parent themselves. So we remember at that time Harry was in agreement with everything she was doing. So was it the only alternative? Was she signing litigation friend because she was not the parent or guardian? There are rumours now, and they are just rumours, that a surrogate is being encouraged to come clean, and negotiations are pretty sensitive, understandably. Again, just a rumour, but I believe there is no smoke without fire. And the newspapers are mentioning this now. Within the last 48 hours, the old news about the birth certificates is resurfacing. Headlines being said now that the palace quietly removed Meghan's name from the birth certificate. It's strange now, isn't it, that it's coming out in the news now that the old news of the removal of her name is now surfacing. Why would they be saying that now? I think I know why. I think because we are on the verge of everything being exposed. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Much love. Bye.